What happens when two seasoned business leaders get together? They talk shop, of course. Sit back and listen in as Scott DeLong and Vince Moiso share from their experience around current issues facing executives, entrepreneurs, and their leadership teams. The CEO Podcast starts now.
Hey everybody, Scott DeLong with the CEO Podcast. I'm here again with Vince Moiso, my partner, and we have a special guest, Gigi Harris. Gigi is the wife of one of our previous guests, Lee, who was so engaging that we went twice as long as we normally would. We between the three of us, because I've been around all three of us, not one of us stops talking.
He has a lot to say. So.
Yeah, so we all have something going on. Gigi and Lee just finished an acquisition a few months ago with a company called White Lion Tea out of Scottsdale. And Gigi is the figurehead for that organization. Yeah. It is the head. It is a women-owned business, and we're going to talk a little bit about White Lion. We're going to talk about some of your other work, but why don't you take a few minutes and tell the audience who you are and what your passions, where your passions lie, and then we'll just get into conversation.
Thank you for having me. Wow, I'm wearing a lot of hats these days, and White Lion's my fourth one. So I come from a high-tech background, so I went to UCLA and studied psychology, wanted to go into counseling, but I ended up in high-tech marketing for 20 years. And so my last corporate job before I went to go work with Lee was a channel manager, national distribution channel manager for TIAC America, was a Japanese company. Okay. So a lot of my work ethic came from working for Taiwanese and Japanese. So it was a good foundation for me, I think.
That's great.
And then in the early 2000s, after we had our second son, I came home and worked with Lee in his consulting practice. Okay. And then I had my third child, Carly, who's 17 now, and I went back to school for design. And that's how you and I met, right? Through design. So 2006, I started Kaizen Interiors. That is my other business here in town in San Clemente. And I've been designing since then. I've held a lot of interesting positions. My most rewarding one was president of ASID Orange County, which is our association in Orange County. And that's how I met you.
That's how we met.
Yeah. So aside from that, I still practice. My large project right now is the Orange County Ronald McDonald House. I'm doing the 18,000 square foot expansion on that project.
Nice.
So
nice.
It's really, it's a great cause. But so Lee,
that's in Orange.
That's in Orange, right by
Orange,
Chalk. Yeah. So I do that. I'm also a health coach. That's my little side thing I do 4 years now. But then Lee decided, I think the last podcast he was on, he was in the middle of due diligence on this project. And about 2-3 months ago, he says, okay, I think we're doing this. Like, what do you mean? I think we're doing this? Because it was supposed to be a venture with 2 other people. But the more we got into it, the more we talked about it, it really resonated with us as a family and wanting to leave something for our family. So we took it on, and it's been really exciting. August 1st was when we officially got the keys for the building and the business.
So tell us a little bit about White Lion then specifically. What is it that you're creating, and who are you selling to, and what does your customer base look like?
So White Lion Tea is a 20-year-old luxury tea brand. So we manufacture a full range of teas. Our distribution is mainly through distributors who service hospitality, spas, high-end restaurants, hotels. The Ritz-Carlton is an example of one of our clients that has our teas. We are about to go to Cancun because one of our distributors there wants to expand their offerings of
what a shame.
White Lion.
You have to go to Cancun.
I don't. I'm sending Lee's going. I wish I.
Hey, listen, if he needs someone to carry his bags, let me know.
I see how that works.
I kind of enjoy Cancun.
Yeah.
Lee might want to do a podcast.
He might. He might be willing to do that. So, we are right now. We're mainly distribution, but we want to build our B2B and our B2C eventually.
Sure.
I love tea, and I want to share it with my friends. So it's like, well, right now you can get on the website and buy it, but it's distributed through one of our distributors.
Yeah.
So
while I know tea is your current passion product, I want to talk about your passion in life and which is developing culture.
Yeah.
Right?
Culture is a
Oh,
big
wow.
thing.
Because I thought you were going to say pickleball.
Pickleball.
There's a culture in pickleball
There
too.
is a
So
culture.
that's her fifth career. Is the
Yeah.
pickleball
I
queen of
forgot
San
that
Clemente.
hat. So yeah, I
Yeah.
am the ambassador for San Clemente for pickleball. So I'm an all-in person. When I get my hands into something,
Clearly.
I am 100% committed.
I like it.
And that's where my passion is. I really love people. And we were talking about culture in and out, personal life and business earlier.
Sure.
And it's all the same. The Gigi you see on the pickleball court is the same one you see in the boardroom, is the same one you see.
So we talk about that with the authentic leadership. We had a podcast a couple of days ago about that.
Yeah.
Is that you're showing up as who you are, and it doesn't matter if it's at home, on the pickleball court, in this business, that business, or the other business, because guess what? One, it makes you happier.
Yeah.
Not having to, you say wear different hats.
Right.
It's not different faces, just different hats.
It's living authentically, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the same person. I don't have to say, okay, what hat am I wearing today and what persona do I need to be?
Mhm.
And I think building a culture within an organization is the same thing. You want authentic people that you can trust, that you just know are there, and they're not who they say they are. Like, they're just the same people that you see socially as well as on the court.
Well, our guest, when we were talking about leadership specifically, our guest said something I thought was great. He just said, as a leader, when you're jumping into an organization, and maybe this is the case with something that drew you toward White Lion Tea, is you have to embody the mission of that organization. And as we were continuing to talk about that, and I was listening to what he had to say, I said, yeah, I'm going to throw in authenticity, though. So I think you have to authentically embody that mission, because I think it is, I personally know a lot of leaders in businesses that may embody what that business is about, but it's not them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think there is a difference, because I've also been a part of organizations. I'm part of one now, and others where when you have authenticity throughout your organization, it's amazing how productive it is. It's amazing how that organization runs. It becomes so easy because, like you said, it's just, if I'm showing up as the same person every day, I'm not having to remember what I said to one person or the next, because it's just me all the time. And that level of authenticity, to me, man, it just takes so much weight and pressure off of me as a leader.
I agree.
So I'm curious. I want to get into White Lion in particular. We can talk about the other ventures, but White Lion in particular, because this is a new organization for you. Yet it's 20 years old.
Yes.
So during the acquisition process, the due diligence, did we get an alignment of cultures at that point, or are things you had to change, or how did that play?
We had a very unique situation in that my husband actually did all of that. I knew he was working on this deal, but I wasn't invested emotionally because it wasn't my company. I wasn't supposed to be as active as I am today, but that changed as we got closer to closing the deal.
Why?
We had a couple partners that we were looking at, and culturally, one of them wasn't a fit. The other one had other commitments.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the mission, as we delved into the mission of the previous owner and what she created, it really resonated with us and our family.
Yeah.
And so we kind of embraced the culture of what she had built.
So you didn't have to change much.
We didn't have to change much. It felt, I walked through the doors on August 1st. And it was an energy thing. It was I was greeted with the new employee, the existing employees were there, and the team that stayed with us. I think that's the exciting part of it is we have 10 people that continue that are total, including Lee, myself, and our director that is related to Lee. But we love the people, the production team that stayed. Every time I visited, they're joyous. They love what they do. They're a family.
So there was no hesitancy with new people coming in?
Well,
strangers that now own us? Like, people get nervous.
Yeah, I think the previous owner did a really good job of keeping them in the loop on the transaction, which kudos to her, because she alleviated any fear. There were a couple that I could tell.
Transparency works, Scott.
Yeah,
the transparency. So they were excited. Yeah, there was one I could tell he was a little hesitant, but you know what? The more they just need to know who we are and that we're not there to change. We're not going in making drastic changes right away. So Yeah.
Well, people are essential to the culture, right? So, that's it's hard to talk about culture without talking about how
It is
important
the
people are
people.
to an organization, right? So that's really neat to me, is like when you can find a business that resonates with you, the product that resonates with you, but a mission that immediately speaks to you, and energy as you walk through the door, and then people that are part of the organization. So there's a cultural fit right out of the gate. That's pretty incredible. At the end of the day, it almost doesn't, when you have those components, culture, that energy, that mission, that really speaks to you, the product almost is irrelevant.
Yeah, and it's really about the people, I think, because now that I have my hands in White Lion, Kaizen Interiors, I have a health coaching business, and Pickleball. Between those four, it's the people. It's the culture
Sure.
that's developed is about the people, not what it is, the business, the product, the service. It's really about your team.
Well, actually, all the acquisitions that I've seen that have failed, and there have been plenty that I've seen that have failed, has all been about culture fits.
Yeah.
They just, this group and this group did not align. And if we don't find a way to get them aligned, they will eventually fail.
Yeah.
Might take 2 to 5 years, but they will fail if they can't get alignment. They'll have an us versus them mentality.
Exactly.
The old school and the new school. And I've seen that over and over and over again. And almost always those companies will fail.
Yeah. When Lee and I worked together, when he had his consulting practice in the early, when we got married, 98, 2000 in there, we had, we met in leadership development. We met at a seminar. And so part of our hiring practice was to put our employees through a leadership seminar.
Yeah.
Because then you
Nice.
can really see where they get hung up. If they're coachable, we open them up to discover their own issues or their own strengths, so that we have something to work with, and we speak the same language.
Well, Scott and I talk quite a bit about that. We talk about development over training, right? There's some things you have to train on. I mean, you might have a
Skills.
software or something, some sort of skill that you need to train on, but for the most part, we talk deep about developing people to be human beings, right?
Yeah.
Which are still skills. They're just soft skills,
Right.
Not how to type or how to push this button or how to push that button, but it's the internal buttons. And our approach when we're teaching and coaching and doing that is an inward approach. It is what's my part in this. Each client needs to take a look and say, great. It's really easy to point fingers out and say, oh, that person does this. What's my part in this? And there's always some part of it that's you. And any difference between people, there's always something I can be doing a little bit better than I did before to mitigate that conflict, to change the dynamics between us. So it is an internal focus. We don't want to change everybody else, because guess what? We can't change everybody else.
I literally was having that conversation on the way here. So I was on the phone with an associate, and it was a great conversation, because I was providing feedback to him around, hey, we've got to live. It was we're dealing with a challenging client, right? And I said, we got to live in this world of what we can control. Like, we're not going to change the client or necessarily the client's behavior, or we have to be the quarterback of ourselves, and we can drive to the finish line, and we can point the finger that she's not engaging in the way we need her to, or whatever that is. At the end of the day, I think what's really important is to look inward. There's no right or wrong in any of that. It's not there's no, in that conversation, it's not, oh wait, you did something wrong. No, that's not the conversation here. The conversation is how can we change how we're driving us to the finish line with what we can control? And I think when you start to look inward and you've got a culture around you that is all driving towards the same thing, oh my God, it's like,
and I actually think that while I
amazing.
can't change that customer that you're talking about, that behavior helps influence them.
100%.
For them to want to make the same sorts of changes
without question.
internally.
Yeah, I agree.
I think like my leadership, I'm very hands-on. I roll up my sleeves and I just jump in. And I think the people that I attract in any organization see that, and they want that, and they just jump in with me. And so it kind of makes it easy.
They want to help.
So same with pickleball.
I was going to talk about that, because that's all volunteer, right? We're not paying anyone to show up. In fact, they have demands that you don't have any control over
and
sometimes.
I'm a volunteer as well.
Yet you get people that will jump in and help, because
they treat it like it's a job. And I did want, that's interesting, because I used to serve in the church as well, and my ministry was multimedia, and it was a very a difficult one to keep people and retain people, but because I was willing to mentor and teach even people that didn't have computer skills, I'd be there. Okay, this is how you get into the computer. Yeah. But if I'm modeling a certain behavior, I'm going to attract a certain type of person that says, oh, she's hands-on, I better be hands-on too. But leading paid organizations and volunteer organizations I think it's the same. People want to be valued. They want to be you just want to ingratiate yourself to them for their contribution.
So I'm just going to segment the whole pickleball group just a little bit, because I'm going to say that you guys
know some of those people.
You guys are all obsessed. So there is an obsession there that is hard to describe, that I think equally drives people.
That is true.
Toward that game, and it's
so
actually,
at work they won't work towards pain, but in pickleball they do.
Yeah.
They do,
and it's amazing how 4 hours of pickleball goes so fast.
Oh man, yeah. Okay,
anyway.
So when Shelby comes home. And she's like, wait, I'm only here for 5 minutes. And well, why? Well, I'm going to play pickleball. Well, didn't you play pickleball for like 3 hours this morning? Yeah. And you're going to play pickleball for like 3 more hours? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
So the CrossFit community doesn't have that problem.
No,
right?
1 hour and done.
You guys are as obsessed as the pickleball people are.
No, come on.
I'm not going to miss because of the and the CrossFit. I'm going to just say, yes, it's good for your body. You're getting stronger. You're feeling good about yourself, but you're there because of the people that are there.
It's very social. Yeah. No, there's no question. I know the attraction to pickleball, and it is, I love it. It's a sport that a lot of people, just about anybody can do. So clearly there's an attraction to that, and it's incredibly social. So there is a culture.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is a culture, and there's no doubt that there's a culture associated with that. Same with CrossFit. It's a good analogy. CrossFit has that social aspect to it, and there's a culture around it, and it is fun. Admittedly, that hour goes by like that, and I'm working my ass off, and I'm so exhausted by the end of it. And you don't care, and it's you're all in it together, and I think it's the same thing. 4 hours of pickleball goes by so fast.
It goes really fast,
right? And it's because the company you're keeping.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So here's one other thing I'm going to say about pickleball. When I started playing, the thing that was a very inviting crew. First of all, it was a very welcoming place to be, coming as a newcomer, showing up by myself, being welcomed in. So that part was great. And it doesn't matter if it was here in San Clemente or if it was in Utah, wherever I went, it was the same thing. But the thing that I found, and it didn't take long to find this, is that because of the ball and the size of the court, it minimizes the difference between men and women's play and allows us to play together.
That's true.
It really does. The women are every bit as good as the guys. And I'm not trying to be sexist here, saying, oh, guys are so much better. No, this was the fun part of it, is that it is a game that allowed people to play.
So I was laughing. So my CrossFit, talking about CrossFit crossing over to pickleball. So my CrossFit coach, who's a young guy, incredibly good at what he does. He's like 28 years old, 27, 28 years old, right? And one of his clients is a 60-year-old woman who's a 4 in pickleball, and he was challenging her because he likes to talk smack. And I said, you are going to get your ass kicked. I go, she's a 4. I'm not. He asked me to be his partner. I said, no, thank you. No, thank you. And he doesn't even know what he's getting into.
You don't play games you're going to lose?
Doesn't even know what he's getting into. So
he doesn't even know what a 4 means.
He's gonna get his ass kicked by a 6-year-old woman. I'm going to laugh every bit about it.
So
and that you're right. I wanted to mention something though. A really great book. There's a marketing guru by the name of Seth Godin. If you've never heard of him, he's got a lot of books out there, TED Talk, and a lot of great information. But he wrote a really great book that spoke to me. It's called Tribes. If you ever want to read it, you're a psychology major from UCLA, and this a lot of it is around because marketing is a lot about psychology, right?
Yeah.
And he talks about the psychology of tribes. And essentially that's what we're talking about.
That's
so
right.
when we talk about culture, we talk about people want to belong. They want to be a part of something that's greater than themselves. They want to have purpose. Pickleball offers that. CrossFit offers that. Businesses offer that. Starbucks, for example, he uses that as an example.
Sure.
I mean, the coffee's not that great, right? There's nothing, I don't ever hear anybody going, oh my God, that's Starbucks coffee. But people are obsessed with Starbucks. Why? Because they created an experience.
It's their tribe.
You know what you're going to get,
Absolutely.
and there's tribes of people that are obsessed with Starbucks, or equally so with Zebra House coffee.
Mhm.
Right? I got to go down to Zebra House in San Clemente, whatever it is. My point being is that's essentially that's the essence of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is this belonging, this purpose that people are driven toward. And then it's the leader. So like what I talked about, or what I heard from you in talking about your own leadership, you talked a little bit about being hands-on, and then therefore someone that works for you is saying, ooh, I better be hands-on. So that's leadership by example,
Yeah.
right? And that's super powerful. It's leadership by, being inviting or being open, or the embodiment of a mission. All these things that we're talking about is what drives people to be a part of organizations and groups and tribes.
I think that starts with leadership and the excitement that, you have to give them a compelling reason to want to stay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
come back,
and recognize that I don't belong to every tribe either.
Yeah,
There are tribes that
that's
just aren't mine, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There's going to be a tribe for me that I'm going to fit. My point to this, especially when I'm talking to young people about their career choices, is finding something they love with a group of people they love,
Yeah.
rather than chasing the dollars. And my line is this, is that if you find something you love and you love working there, you're going to get good at it. When you get good at it, they will pay you, right? So work towards the joy, the love, all those things about the career first, and the compensation will come.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it will come
Yeah.
because you're getting better at it and you're with the right people.
Well, all of that compensation is so subjective anyways. If you subscribe to what Tim Ferriss talks about, he talks about cash flow, and I'm a believer of that. Cash flow is king. That's really what it, personally or in a business, cash flow is king. And so again, your lifestyle is going to be set according to your cash flow. And if you're doing what you want to do, then whatever you're making is enough.
Yeah.
Because if it's feeding your lifestyle, then that's great. And if you need to make more money, go figure out a way to make more money to feed your lifestyle. Kind of end of story. So I'm in agreement, essentially, Scott, with what you're saying is yeah, do what you love, find some purpose, even if it's 4 different things that fill all the holes in your life that you want. I'm the same as you, Gigi. I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs. I mean, what I'm hearing from you is you're a serial. You worked in corporate America for a long time, 20 years, I think is what you said. And then ultimately you discovered, I'm really more of a serial entrepreneur.
Well, I learned that from my husband, who always was the wedding, the day after the wedding. He's like, I'm not always going to have a job, because he was working in finance.
The day
at
after the
time.
wedding, he tells
Yeah.
you. Good for
I'm
him.
like, okay.
Smart man.
So what do you mean?
The
You're
day
not
before is not a good time to make that announcement.
So I'm more I've always thought I was more the corporate type, but there is raising our kids in an entrepreneurial household has benefits. Like we were at every event. Our kids are entrepreneurial in their minds. They are very creative, and they're leaders in of themselves. We've developed this family culture, which actually spills over to our business cultures. Is same: trust, teamwork, accountability, respect. And just trusting each other. I think trust is the big thing in building a culture, is that mutual respect for each other, and knowing that I have your back, you have my back. So I have in my design practice, I have an employee I hired 5.5 years ago, and he is my partner, essentially.
Yeah.
I can leave my business to him for months at a time, and I know it's going to be taken care of. So, and that was just...
He's an employee and feels like your partner.
And he has taken ownership of his position, which I think is really a key in our culture. Is we hire people that take an ownership mentality.
I love that.
So it's really important. It makes it so much easier. And I think the crew we have at White Lion is just that. They all we're not there all the time because we're between 2 states. So when we're not there, we know that the business is still running. So
that's interesting, because I do want to make this analogy, because entrepreneurship is not for everybody, right? It is not, because of the risk and I'm not going to always have a job. Those kind of comments are true. But what you're saying is that you can cultivate this entrepreneurial spirit within people because you're providing them with that white picket fence, right? You're making it safe for them. Every other week paycheck comes, all those kind of things, so that they can explore that side, because most people can't.
Yeah.
That's why there's fewer entrepreneurs than there are workers.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone would love to be their own boss, right? And not everyone, but most people would.
Well,
However, they can't.
we have a
But if you
culture.
do that within the organization, it's wonderful.
I think empowerment is the key to that. Like, we empower our employees to really own their positions, to really think about the company as if it were their own, treat it like as if it were their own. And we really have not had any issues over the years.
We've never talked about anything like that, have we, Scott?
Never.
Trust, accountability, empowerment. Yeah, those are new to us.
Those are chapters in a book that are sitting upstairs, actually. Yeah. So here's the tie here for me is that if you treat people well, you start by treating people well. They will treat you well.
Absolutely.
In the old school days, it was kind of a contract. Hey, I'm paying you for 2 weeks worth. You owe me 2 weeks worth, and we're done. That's just not the way leadership works these days.
Right.
And it's not what people are looking for.
And those are not the people that we
transactions.
hire,
Yeah.
whether they're employees or partners. That is not exactly what you
Yeah.
said. If
Well, you're
they-
not going to get the ownership that you're talking about
Yeah.
from an employee if you treat them that way.
Right.
You know, I think I love the terms empowerment and ownership.
Mhm.
And when you empower, then there's ownership. They own that power now. It's a transfer of power in a way, or a sharing
Absolutely.
of that power. And now, yeah, they can embrace that
Mhm.
and really take ownership of what it is they're doing. Yeah, Scott and I talk about it all the time, and there's just no place for us, at least in this world of business today, of, you know, what do you call it? You talk about that leadership style of the
Command and
beat
control.
down and fear, command and control.
Yeah, that's
There's just no-
obsolete.
There's
room
just
for
no
it.
place. I don't think you can successfully run.
No.
Maybe temporarily you can, in the short
It's
term you
very
can, but-
successful short-term strategy.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
works, right? The smartest person in the room says, do this, and we get it done. It works. The problem is we're not developing the people to sustain this
Mhm.
thing if you go with that approach. So short term, sure, it works. In fact, there's times where you're going to want that command and control leader. If your building is on fire, you want
Mhm.
someone to take
Mhm.
charge. We're not going to gather up and have a meeting to decide what should we do next. Who should lead this meeting, right?
Yeah.
So there is a place for that, but it's usually reserved, should be, in my mind, reserved for emergencies.
Yeah.
And when time is of the essence,
Yeah.
and there is no time to get together and discuss. So don't discount command and control completely, because there's a time for it. There's a place for it. I want my sergeant that I'm in the foxhole with knowing what he wants me to do. Absolutely. Right. That's an emergency situation.
Well, one of the things that I learned from you today, which I think is kind of cool, as we get to the end of this thing, because we could keep talking for a long time, is I love how you have just somehow, across everything that you do, created this culture. Like I even heard you talk about how your family is that way.
Time for the kids.
So
too.
from family to your pickleball community to your 4 businesses to, you know, everything around you, it seems to me the culture is the same. And I love that. I think there's an opportunity for everybody to do that in their own worlds and create something.
Yeah.
You know, I think you can totally change your environment by doing
and that can't be done without that empowerment philosophy that you had,
Absolutely.
right? Because you're not there. Somebody else has to do whatever needs to be done.
and living that. So
Sure.
again, it's like, you know, what occurs for me as you describe all of that is you're living it. You've embodied that as your culture, as your values, and then that's permeates throughout your entire life.
It's really who Lee and I are as individuals, as a couple. I mean, I'm excited. It's been a while since we've actually been in a business together, because we did early in the early 2000s, but it's been a while. And so,
And your pickleball teammates too?
yes.
And you can still do
we're
all
mixed,
that?
We're
Good
mixed
for you.
doubles partners.
High five,
and
because that's not easy.
Yeah. No one. Yeah. I love
All right, so
mine.
we're getting towards the end. So one of the things that we like to do towards this is for our guests to give 1, 2, maybe 3 nuggets of that people should start doing today. What's really important, and what should people be focusing on from your point of view to the audience?
I really believe that pouring into people and mentoring and taking the time to mentor is critical for retention and for building that trust and building that sense of ownership. I think that really pouring into and gratitude, like
Ooh.
just being thankful for what they contribute.
Yeah.
You can't keep your doors open without the people.
Yeah.
And so
No
that
doubt.
that simple thank you. I mean, when we visit Arizona, we have such an amazing team, but I always make a point to just go to everyone and say, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you. And it makes a huge difference because we're all people. We all want to be appreciated and
Recognized, noticed, heard, all those things.
Absolutely.
Great.
So,
Vince, what about you? What did you pull out of today?
Yeah, just I love for me just the collaboration that life and business and everything is just integrated, right? And I think when you're pursuing things that you love to do and take a people-focused approach, you can just be one person across all parts of your life, and it simplifies things.
yeah,
It,
for sure.
it really does.
So for me, I'm going to go on what Gigi said a little bit. She said, take the time to, right? And then finish the sentence after that. This approach takes longer than just telling people what to do. Initially, at least initially. Take the time. This takes time to nurture the culture, to invite people in, to listen to what they have to say. It takes a lot more time than just telling people what to do.
Yeah.
But that's only initially, because eventually you get to do what Tim Ferriss does and spend 4-hour work years or work weeks, right? Because they now have the skills that they've learned through the interactions with you in order to do that. So while the time investment is heavy up front, it does lessen with this approach.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
So
It's good stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, you guys. This is fun.
So, Gigi, tell people how they can get in touch with you, because someone's going to want to talk to you about either pickleball, design,
Probably Facebook.
tea,
I think
how
Facebook
to
or
play
social-
pickleball with a
Yeah.
husband and stay married, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, probably on my socials, Gigi Harris. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I've got a link tree with all of my URLs for the 4 different entities that I'm involved in. So Pickleball, San Clemente Pickleball, I'm in the admin for that group. So anything pickleball, go there. But yeah.
What about, and if they're interested in White Lion Tea, how do they find?
We have a website, White Lion Tea, but depending on what their interest is, they could reach out to me through gharris@whiteliontea.com.
Got
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate the time that you spent with us
thanks
today.
for-
much.
thanks for
Another
being on the
enjoyable
podcast.
conversation. So thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Our first husband and wife guest duo.
Yeah.
I like it.
I want to get your wife in here and we'll see how that goes.
All right. Fine
I
with
want to
me.
be invited to that. I
Yeah.
love Shelby.
All right. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Amazon Music and Google. Anywhere that you look for podcasts, you can find The CEO Podcast. You can also go to our website, theceopodcast.net, or hit Vince and I up with scottandvince@gmail.com. Send in your emails, whatever you want to suggest, right? New topics, new people that you'd want us to
Feedback.
have a conversation with.
Yep.
Positive, negative feedback. Challenge us on things. We're good with that. So, till next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the CEO Podcast. Please visit us at theceopodcast.net, where you can learn more about our co-hosts and listen to past episodes. If you would like to have a discussion and dive deeper into any topic, there is also an option to contact Scott or Vince to schedule some time with them. Thanks for listening.